intro. Just waiting till everything syncs. Because, oh, there's the notifications. Yeah, LinkedIn's live. No, now TikTok's live. Right on. It's on board. I like it. We got to the song runs out. Because this is Ask a Traffic Cop, and we have to have a little music because it makes the world better. I got my tea going on. I never would have thought that I'm into tea, but I am. I like tea. Can't help it. Just is. Okay, Tuesday. It is Tuesday, the 21st. I think it's the 21st all day. And what are we doing today? We are talking about stuff and things here on Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet where you can ask police officers questions about traffic and police stuff. It's amazing how that works. The only place on the internet, I don't know, there's other places on the internet where you might have similar access, but not the same access because there's only one me. We got lots to talk about today. We always have lots to talk about. Let's start with Vision Zero. And then we'll talk about how you can ask questions. And then we can get into whatever you want to get into, because that's what this is, a show for you that takes its flow from you. You know, we get to know what you want to know, and then we talk about it. So let's talk about it. Today being the 21st, we have a Vision Zero enforcement team. Ever heard of it? If you've watched the show, you know all about it because I talk about it every day. So Vision Zero enforcement team is a group of dedicated officers who go out to change driver behavior one ticket at a time. That's right. They go and issue tickets, not hugs. And they do it for the big four. Those are the infractions or the specific charges of, I shouldn't say specific charges, the areas of speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Those are the offenses that are known to lead to serious injury and death on our roads. And we don't want that. We want to have a zero count. And we don't have a zero count. But it is the goal. Vision Zero says that that minor collisions are going to happen, and it's understood, but the ones that lead to serious injury and death are unacceptable and entirely preventable because it's driver decisions that are going into making these things happen. So we want to change the behavior. We do that with tickets, not hugs. Yes. So where are they today? 32 Division and 42 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Rouge, Scarborough. But this is not limited to just those neighborhoods. There are many, many neighborhoods that I did not include in that list, and it's because I have a 280 character limit on Twitter, and that's why you have that particular list of things, because they're the ones that came to mind. If you have a neighborhood, a hashtag that you think should be included in our daily post, then let me know, because I have the power to update that and include other ones. Maybe we rotate with some others, but those are the ones that stood out to me as the most well-known and had hashtags. Need to have hashtags, or I want ideally to have hashtags, because then it notifies people who follow those tags of hash. Okay, we have some Q&A. Let's see here, pausing there. Cool. Awesome. We have a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about. There was a discussion about, that's a great discussion Michael has suggested. Let's get into things. Just a quick hello to Rod Tebow. We have Tracy, Jack. We have Bradley, Maddox, Ryan, Paw. We got lots of people jumping into the live. Good morning to everybody. We have Goddess and Vinny. And hey, if you would be so kind as to share, regardless of the platform you're on, share the live with everybody you know. You know, the people you like, the people you don't like, the people that you think need a little help with their driving, even the people who are doing a great job. Now, that's saying about drivers, but you know what? Pedestrians and cyclists, they can benefit from this too, because we talk about safety for all. It's not just about driving, getting your license, and knowing about a ticket. It's about being safe on the road, and we talk about it all here. Got questions? We got answers. Let's get into it. If you want to ask questions, you can jump into any platform except Twitter. That's right. Twitter, you can watch us, but you can't talk to us. You can, however, use the link in the bio of any of our platforms. Somebody's calling me, but I can't answer it. I don't know who it is, but I can't answer it. Sorry. If you go to the link in the bio, you'll get into our, what is it called? Linktree. And the Linktree has links to all of our platforms. So you can jump on to TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can get to Twitter, but Twitter doesn't work for questions. You can alternatively go into our thing called Volley app. It's a thing called Volley. It's an amazing platform. It allows you to send me video, voice, or text, and you will be getting some video, voice, or text very shortly from one of our friends who is a regular on the show. We will play it for you right here. So let's talk about that. Chase started off with a volley with a voice. Oh, we have a greetings and salutations from Michaela Draconis, who is in our volley space. We've got some discussions about taillights. USA style or Euro style, whether they remain white when not illuminated or red. Okay, we can talk about that. Chase, let's.
Are you allowed to have clear taillights, the Euro versions of the red taillights in the back?
So that is the question that this image that you can't see deals with. Can I show you? Maybe I can show you what it looks like. Let's see if I can pull this up. Because it makes no sense if I'm just talking about it, but you can't see it. So Volley on my phone. Come on, Volley. I typed Collie. No, we're not talking about, and I did it twice. It's going to be one of those days. All right, Q&A and photos of photos. Here we go. Photo. Okay, bigger the screen. Make it on side. Here we go. So the question is, on one side, you've got Euro, the other side, USA, different styles. So if the bulb, when illuminated, is red, it's fine. If the bulb, while the lights are on, is red, it's fine. But you cannot project white light backwards. But I don't have an issue, and I don't believe there's any issue under the HTA as to what the resting color is. In fact, new manufacturers often have white lenses with a red bulb behind it. Perfectly okay. Now, the license plate cover on that Florida car would not be legal here. I don't even think it would be legal in Florida. But that license plate cover is tinted. And we'll be doing a lot of discussion about that because it seems to be that people don't understand. So that, if someone tries to tell me that that is clearly visible at a distance, no, it is not. And that is more than enough to let any covering, frame or cover, absolutely prohibited. $110 fine. There you have it. What else we got here in Volley before we jump into the regular stuff? Yes. Oh, fantastic. Michael called me out for having forgotten to read dad jokes. I have a number of dad jokes here. We try and read a dad joke every day. My wife gave me a calendar of dad jokes, and they are not exactly magical. This particular deck has been suboptimal. However, there is a deck that our friend at the front desk has that has much better jokes, but they don't have any blue on them. So this is printed in color, and we're going to give extra points for the ink. In any case, let us get into what's going on. I got to switch camera views here. 1 second. I got to switch this one to this screen. There we go. All right. Lots of stuff coming onto the screen. We got Jacob with a good morning. We have LinkedIn who says one Sean is enough. And I'm assuming that's Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. We have, a question from Jack. Here's a great one. Do you need insurance if you have a car but don't plan on driving it? So, if it's being stored on private property, do you require insurance? No. Is it a good idea to have fire and theft on it? Sure, because if you don't, it won't be covered when it's stolen out of your driveway, and we know that vehicles are being stolen left, right, and center. But if it's going to be on the road, you have a minimum requirement of insurance. It cannot be driven on the road without an insurance policy on it. So if you had to, we've covered it. You don't need insurance if it's on private property and you're not driving it. Most insurance companies don't allow you to put insurance on for a week, take it off for a week. You usually pay for a year, and if you cancel it, you don't drive anymore. Cool. Okay, what does this say? Bradley Valentine asks, when do police pull car computer data to prove or disprove things? Generally speaking, that's going to be involving a major collision. We generally don't, as a practice, pull data from every vehicle. We would get that based on a major collision. And that's when we're trying to piece together, when we don't have that information, we're trying to put together all aspects of the collision, what led to the collision, was speed a factor, because all that stuff is stored. Very often in less serious collisions, we can see things because speedometers have a tendency of sticking where they were left. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. I like good questions. Can you explain the process of getting your M license? Yeah. Basically, it's a little different than if you were getting your G. G, I think most people are. First of all, we have graduated licensing in Ontario. So the deal is that you would apply for your, what is a 70-day permit. I think it's still 70 days. That's called an M1. When you have your M1, you can operate your vehicle alone and only alone. No guests, no passengers allowed. And you're allowed to operate it from a half an hour before sunup and a half an hour after sundown. And that is because you have to have that a little bit ability to get back to where you're going. So you cannot use any 400 series highways or any highway that has a speed limit over 80 kilometers an hour. There are some exemptions. It's in the driver's handbook. And Big Bub says 90 days. Well, thank you for correcting me. So 90 days, and within 60 days, you can take your M2. Awesome. Thanks very much for the correction. That's from Big Bubs coming in from Twitch. Now, and actually, let me show you some love by putting it on screen. So much appreciated for the correction. I always get them. I for some reason thought it used to be 70, and maybe it was when I was getting mine, but whatever. It has changed, and that is a good thing. So you can do it, and you can go take your test. Now, I suggest taking a proper riding course. You can get them at all sorts of different institutions across Ontario. They're awesome. They really give you a basis for riding if you've never ridden before. I rode dirt bikes. I rode things. I never took the course when I first got licensed. I did take it later. I think it's an incredibly valuable tool to be safe. You need to be safe on a motorcycle, and that's not being telling you that it's your fault when you get into a collision, just that you have no protection when you're on a motorcycle. I know I'm in this office because I was in a collision on a motorcycle. I was a member of the motor squad, and I am, very concerned for the safety of all people on the road. But I have a connection to the motorcycling community. I want you all to be safe. Okay, let us go into stuff and things that are coming in. We have, is wheel camber illegal? This is a good question. It depends. There is a minor amount that would be acceptable, but camber that is extreme or beyond what's legal would be illegal because it's unsafe. It's changing the amount of, it changes the contact patch of the tire to the road. So camber is basically, what's a good example? We use this piece of this block. If this is your tire, how do I point? Okay, here. This is your tire, and when you start changing the angle in which it meets the road. You can't see that for the Instagram, folks. It changes how much. So at some point, some people are using the tire and they're running across this edge, the sidewall. Well, that's going to cause a failure, premature failure. It doesn't give you a good contact patch. It's just not safe. So is it illegal? Absolutely illegal when you go beyond that. Some cars have minor camber, and it's meant for track cars. It's meant for cars that are going to be cornering, because when you put when you're in a turn, you're rolling the weight onto the tire, and then you get a bigger contact patch in the turn. But we're talking city driving. No one should be dealing with that. Nobody. Good morning, staff. we got Mike that in LinkedIn. Good morning. Good morning. We have a question from daytime. This is from Dale Rusian. Hopefully I got your name right. How about daytime running lights? I have amber demon eyes as running lights. Is this legal? Well, I don't know what color amber demon is. I'm going to assume they're amber, more amber and less demon, because I don't know. I just assume demon is red, but we'll go with amber. So if they're amber lights, they're legal because you can project forward to out of the front of the vehicle white or yellow. No red. Red is prohibited. But you can have amber or yellow, which are generally for fog lights, but you can run them to the front. Back in the 70s, a lot of vehicles had yellow lights as their primary lights. It was legal. Lots of stuff coming in. Hey, if you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I go live on social media to answer your traffic and police questions. I do it Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, and I love it. I really do. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I hope you enjoy it too, because this is all about you, for you. We want to make sure that we get rid of any confusion and not cause any more confusion. But we have topics that we know lots about, and we have topics we know less about. But we try and give you the best information possible when we address it. And if we don't know, we say we don't know, because there are times when I certainly don't know. And then I call upon, the support, the sergeants who join on the show on a regular basis. We may be seeing Sergeant Kulik in a little while, but Sergeant Campbell was here earlier, or yesterday. And he is here today, but I don't think he's joining us. Okay. What about license plates that are peeling? It is a good question, Marcus. What about them? What do you want to know? Let's talk about it from the beginning. They are peeling because they are defective, or they weren't treated properly, or life happens and they're worn out. You need to get them replaced. If they are peeling, it's $52. If they're not covered under warranty, there is a 5-year warranty, and if you take them back to the ministry, they should be replacing them under that warranty. Now, that doesn't always work, but check it out. And what happens if you refuse or choose not to get them replaced because you don't want to pay the money or you don't want to drive there? Well, it's a $110 ticket if your vehicle's license plate is not clearly legible. It's your responsibility to ensure they're in good condition. And you can't modify them, paint them, cover them. You can't put plastic covers on them to make them last longer. Like, you just can't. You can't even put license plate frames. The ones that come from dealerships are absolutely illegal. I don't know why anyone gets them or leaves them on. You should take them off immediately. Why advertise the company? They're not paying you to rent that space. And even if they are, they're not covering the ticket you're going to get. So if your vehicle's license plate is dirty, obstructed by bicycle carrier or trailer rack or what have you, not allowed. Now, if you're towing a trailer, the trailer has its own license plate, and that is okay. It's reasonable to cover your license plate with a trailer that is covering with a trailer plate. However, if you're obstructing the plate in any other way, it's illegal. I think I've gone well about the concept of just peeling plates. So let me know if there's any questions based on those. What is this? Oh, is there any way to guard against key fob push start theft? So this is obviously we're seeing issues across the city, across the planet, really, when it comes to theft of motor vehicles. And there are a lot of things you can do. There we go. I got to move this chair out of the way. It's bothering me. There are a lot of things you can do. One, you can get a Faraday bag or RFID block box. Essentially blocks radio signals from entering or exiting the pouch. I have them. I don't have them in arm's reach, but I do have a little pouch for my key fob. And when it's in there, I cannot start the car even if I'm standing directly next to it. So that is one way of reducing the chances of theft. But putting physical barriers in the way, using something from the 80s and 90s called the club, which locks to your steering wheel so you can't rotate it. That's one way. Putting Chase is going to lose his mind because now I'm totally confused. This is OBD or DB? I think it's OBD. OBD, ODB. The port underneath the dash that people use to program new keys. You can put a physical block in there. You can do all sorts of things to prevent or make more difficult accessing that port where bad guys use it to do it. If you're not going to use a pouch or a blocker like the one I described to the port that I can't ever get the right name to, you can also make sure that you put your keys far away from the door, because what happens is they will come up with an antenna, a relay system. They'll come up with an antenna to your door and try and catch the proximity sensor or the key using a giant antenna to then reproduce that signal and take it to your car. So there's things you can do. Now, additionally, you can put in a remote start or a remote ignition cutoff, which is a hidden switch or combination electronic system that allows you to, even if they had the key with them, they'd need to know the combination or know the location of the switch to bypass to get it to start the car. There's tons of things. But here's the sad truth. If they want your wheels, they are going to take it. And they could take it by way of just towing it if they really wanted to. So you do the things to make your vehicle more difficult to steal, but it's not a guaranteed thing. And bad guys will take it. And we see these things, cars showing up all over the place. Blinking brake lights, illegal or no? So I thought for the longest time that they would be illegal, because there is a section under the Highway Traffic Act that says flashing, or specifically intermittent flashes of red light, is an offense under the HTA. And what I'm seeing on most of these vehicles is a 5 flash and then solid. Blink, 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 solid. And that, in my opinion, is not illegal. Here's the thing. It's my opinion. Someone may have a differing opinion and may lay the charge, and it's going to be up to the independent trier of fact, being the judge or JP who is going to be hearing the case if you're charged. Again, I don't believe they're illegal. I think they're perfectly legitimate and draw attention to your vehicle to help you stop safely and draw the attention of the driver who's probably got their nose in their phone, because that's happening a lot. We've written a lot of tickets already this year, and we'll continue to enforce laws related to, well, all of the big four and all of the offenses that we come across. But yeah, I don't believe there's anything wrong with that. And I had modulating headlights on my motorcycle when I was in the mountains doing things. I think that those are absolutely legal too, because the law says you can't have wig wag, but it doesn't say you can't have high beam, low beam modulation during the day. Okay. Here's a great comment from Randy. Peeling license plates are like peeling running shoes. Things wear out. Replace your plates and your shoes as needed. I like that. We should frame that. I want a T-shirt that says that. It's true. Windshield wipers wear out. You got to replace those too, or they don't work. Your license plates wear out, and yes, technically you don't own them, but you are responsible for maintaining and making sure they're always legible, or you get the ticket. Nobody else will. And then things happen where you can't actually renew your license plate. Bad things. So take care of the things. Now, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I never got into it. There is a 5-year warranty on license plates. If these are prematurely failing, you can take it back and say, I need a new one. It's failing, and they should replace them. And there's also a B series of plates that are well over 7 years old, and they're still being replaced under warranty because they were known to be faulty. What is this? Michael says, the maker of yours spent all the money on color, but not a better comedian. Yes, Michael is absolutely correct. The maker of this particular deck of dad jokes spent all the money on color ink. Okay. Here, this is a good question. Let me swing by here. Can I use ceramic tint? Let's talk about that. What about side-mounted plates? We'll talk about that. What's this one? High. Okay, this one's good. We'll talk about that. We have a whole bunch of good stuff. I'm just scrolling through because I am going to flag all these questions for things we got to talk about. And that too. Can you drive? Oh, that's a great one. Oh, we got some good stuff that, see, every time a new question comes in, it scrolls down. So I'm flagging these so I can find them easily. Okay, one more time. Okay. Oh, tons of good stuff. Thank you so much. And by the way, thank you to CJ, who's helping us out by being the amazing executive. Are you executive producer now? Just producer? I don't know. We're going to give you a nice title. All right, cool. Now I'm flagging over to the 11 questions that are sitting in the queue. And I think they're in order of how I click them. From user, lots of numbers. Are volunteer firefighters in Ontario allowed to use courtesy warning lights? So in Ontario, a green flashing dash light is legal if they are legitimately in use by someone who's permitted and eligible to use them, which is a volunteer firefighter. And I believe I've been told volunteer medics in some communities also use this. I'm only aware of the volunteer fire, but it was brought to my attention that there are medics as well. In any case, that is a courtesy light, which means it holds no authority under the HTA. If you have it, it tells people to move out of the way, or asks people, we should be very political about this, it asks people to move out of the way and pull to the side to allow them to go by. It does not give them authority to speed. It does not give them authority to go through red lights. It is simply allowing them to get to an emergency, normally getting to their station so they can suit up and get to the emergency that they're going to respond to, because many communities don't have the big services, the big paid emergency fire and ambulance services that we have the benefits from or of in Toronto. So, yes, we do have them. Okay, we can turn that off and turn this off, and then we can say, here, what button is this? Can I use a ceramic? different machine. I don't have all the sound effects I'm used to. I usually have a little silly sound for it. But here's the deal. Can I use ceramic tint on my car on all windows? So, in Ontario, you cannot have any tint on the front windshield, any at all whatsoever, none, zero, zilch. You cannot have a more than 30% light blockage on the windows left and right of the driver, and you cannot, although we're jumping sections here, you cannot have any reflective tint. You cannot prevent me from seeing inside your vehicle, regardless if I'm a police officer or a member of the public. We're entitled to see inside. I say entitled as a police officer. I need to know if you're wearing your seatbelt, using your phone, drinking alcohol. I have to be able to describe you if you're involved in a collision and flee the scene, or if there's any criminality, or I'm looking to see if there's any, possible, maybe there's an Amber Alert. I'm trying to find someone who's matching a description, and I could be a civilian doing that too. You can't block the interior of the vehicle from being viewed, at least not the front compartment. Back windows can be as dark as you want. You don't even have to have windows in the back. So, to answer your question, ceramic tint, which usually allows people to see out very clearly, but in not so much, is likely going to be illegal for you, because if it prevents the reasonable view inside your vehicle, it is not allowed. And again, nothing on the windshield. What about side-mounted plates? Are they illegal? I need to understand what you mean by side-mounted plates, because if it is off-center, and you mean that by side-mounted, then that's legal. If you mean rotated, and it's no longer horizontal but vertical, and it's no longer being placed on the vehicle as per the regulation, then that would be illegal. If you mean that if it's on the side of the vehicle, well, that's illegal, because it has to be conspicuously mounted to the front of the vehicle. It doesn't require it to be centered, it can be offset, but it has to be easily legible. To the rear of the vehicle, it has to be illuminated, and it needs to be mounted again as per regs. But most manufacturers will put a place for your license plate to go, and if you decide to move that, you have to move the wiring harness and the lights and all that jazz because you'll get a ticket otherwise. Yeah. Here's a great question about people who are visiting Ontario or people who have moved to Ontario and are new residents. So, 4K Obito says, my mom has a UAE license, but it's expired. Can she still drive with a G1 as a G until she gets her G? No. In fact, she can't drive with her UAE license and has been driving illegally even prior to the expiry because their G1 takes over as soon as you've applied for it. G1 is the only license she has right now. That UAE license ceased to be accepted the moment the G1 was applied for and issued. So she has to follow all the rules of the G1. Now, if the ministry had given her any experience based on that UAE license, they would have accelerated that ability for her to get her G or G2. They haven't done that based on what you're telling me. I'm assuming they have not accelerated that, which means she's a G1 until she takes her G2 and a G2 until she takes her G. And I hope that helps. But I have to warn you again, driving with a G1 unaccompanied will result in a 30-day suspension on first conviction, a 90-day suspension on second conviction, and in a what is it called? A reset or getting kicked out of the graduated licensing program on a third conviction. Also, no insurance. You're not a licensed driver. Your vehicle will not be covered by the insurance company in the event of a collision. Things that are important to know. Can I carry brass knuckles in my car? Hakuna Matata wants to know. No, because brass knuckles are a prohibited weapon and you cannot have them. Simple possession of them is an offense under the Criminal Code of Canada. So you don't have to use them to get arrested. Just having them is something to get arrested. And storing those prohibited devices in your vehicle just means, bad. Bad. Babery? Did I say that right? Babery? If I dispute a ticket knowing I was wrong, can they still reduce it? So you're not disputing it if you know you're, well, I guess you could be, so if you're saying that you're not guilty when you know you are guilty, can they reduce it? They might, or they might say no. What you end up doing is wasting the court's time and taxpayer money, your time and your loss of income, just to get a reduction in something that you'll still be convicted of, likely, because that's generally what happens. But if you know it's wrong, then I would say it's wrong to waste the time and money. And yeah. Oh. What is this? Okay. So there's a concept, and CJ just sent me a message saying, that they may be just trying to get time to pay, or they may want to have guilty with an explanation. So this concept of guilty with an explanation is really just guilty. But very often people will say, I'm guilty, but can you give me a discount? And yes, they can do that. That's not disputing it. That's saying I'm totally guilty, taking responsibility for what they did, and then saying I'm broke. I got kids, I've got no job, I've got stuff going on in my life, and the courts are understanding. The courts can give you the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm totally giving you the $110 fine, but I'm giving you 6 months or a year to pay. And if you pay $10 a month or however it works until it's paid off, it's done. Or they might say, you know what, we really appreciate you're taking taking responsibility, and we're going to reduce the fine to $40. Can you pay today? That type of thing. They can do that. But that's not disputing. That's negotiating for a lower price based on what's going on in your life. Okay, I've been ignoring the folks here on the Instagram, and I apologize. You have a question: why TPS cars don't have ALPRs? I just assume it's a matter of time until they're all installed, but we will be getting ALPRs. I think all provincial or police agencies in the province are eligible and getting ALPR systems. But it takes time. They got to take a car off the road, put it on, put it back on the road, so it's a process. And I don't know when we'll be in there. It's a process. That's the best answer. And Marissa, who takes photos, says, I'm going for my G1 soon. Any tips? Read the book. Read the book. Read the book. It's 20 signs and 20 rules of the road, and it's not that hard, but if you don't read the book, it will be hard. So my suggestion would be read the book. There's also apps that are often suggested as solutions for or great sources of information. Whatever works. There's practice tests. Do them. Eat, sleep, and breathe. your G1 until you get it, and then eat, sleep, and breathe, testing or learning the G2 and the requirements and becoming a good, safe driver, and then do that until you can get your license. And that's it. Now, I got different tips for you when you go to your G2, so make sure you're following us and come back. And join us on one of the other platforms. You know, Instagram is great, but the other places are better. What do we got here? We got Michael who's getting ready to ask something but has not asked something yet. Boom. There was discussion from Michael about the car that flipped over. I wanted to talk about this. It's a really great opportunity. We're going to get back to your questions in just 1 second. But there was an opportunity to not ignore a vehicle that flipped over trying to avoid a raccoon. So people say they love animals and then, you know, swerve to avoid a animal and hit a person, a car, another vehicle that have people inside it. You know, there's so many things that can go wrong when you make a movement and that's unplanned or or classified as an emergency, a reactive thing. Save a human, love the animal, but I'd rather see the animal go bye-bye than to potentially kill somebody. And that's what we have here. We have somebody who swerved doing what may be very noble, because I love animals. I even like raccoons a lot. They're very cute. Not everybody agrees. You know, they're going through your garbage. You don't like them in that moment, but they're really, really cute. Anyway, yeah, you don't swerve. Young Drivers of Canada, when I was a kid, taught us you go for the animal, not the people. And the problem is that in a city like Toronto, if you're going anywhere but on the road, you're taking the risk of hurting somebody. Can I make a left? Oh, okay, we'll talk about that. I'm going to add these to the list. 1 second. Police lights. We're going to talk about Jamal's question. Oh, cycling question. Motorcycle question. We got some good stuff here. Hang on a sec. What happened here? See, things moved. Police lights. Talking about that. Oh, yeah, here. Motorcycle. Flag that. All right. So, tires. Good morning, Richard. How's it going? Put you up on screen while we do this. Waleed. Okay. Some questions about employment. School bus stops at intersections. Okay, let's talk about that. I generally talk about everything, but I'm just trying to make sure I get all the questions and put them in a place that they don't get missed. See, because now somebody asked another question, I got missed. Where is this? My tin ticket is not showing in the system. It's been 21 days. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay. All right, I think we're up to date, at least in my flagged list to talk about in a moment. Very good question about wrapped vehicles. And side. Okay, cool. We have a lot. We have 16 questions. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? Tinto Tozy has a question. Now, Tinto Tozy is coming in from Montreal and has a question about tires. Why do my nitrogen tires inflate and deflate? I'm going to assume it's similar to your air-filled tires. As temperatures change, your tire pressure will go up and down. Now, nitrogen tires, it went well?
I'm going.
Oh, you're going there now. Have fun. I would go with, but I can't because I'm here with you guys. The boss is going on a mission, and I would go on that mission if it wasn't for the fact that I'm here talking to you, and you are a priority. I'm not leaving to go on that mission because you are my mission. Okay, so as temperature changes, yes, inflation and tires inflate and deflate, or the gas expands and contracts based on temperature. I believe the whole idea of nitrogen tire or filling your tires with nitrogen is because there's less of a change, but there's still a change. And for someone who's more sciencey than I am, maybe you could provide an example or a further in-depth explanation. But I hope that answers your question, at least the rudimentary one. Can you drive with bare feet is the next question, and it is a good question, and it is one that I grew up thinking was in fact illegal, and I was in fact wrong. Yes, I believed it because my parents told me so. And guess what? Your parents don't know everything, and the law does not support a charge for barefoot driving. Now, it is not safe. It is not suggested. It is not the best way to go, but it is not illegal. We suggest wearing good footwear that will not become, flip-flop and dislodged behind a brake pedal, for instance. Flip-flops, bad for driving. Really something you would avoid. I would rather be barefoot than wearing flip-flops, to be quite honest. Now, when we discuss barefoot, I always think it's important to mention your toes. Your toesies will not appreciate you slamming down on that pedal, slipping off, and possibly hurting them in an emergency situation. Not only will you not provide even pressure to the brake pedal when you need it, like to stop in an emergency, but you're going to hurt yourself and then end up smashing into something. Okay. Let's talk about the next question, because we have questions. There's lots of them. Hoopla says, if you get into an accident, well, I have to correct you there. It's not called an accident. It is a collision. Accidents suggest no one's at fault, and we know that somebody made a boo-boo when there's a collision. Are you allowed to leave the scene of the incident as long as reported? Well, it depends. You see, there are situations when you are permitted, after exchanging information, to go to a reporting center. But in the event that someone is transported to hospital by ambulance, or if there's criminality, or if there's no exchange of information, there's a whole bunch of reasons where you can't leave. So you're better off to call police and get direction. Because if you leave and there's some confusion there, you might find yourself being charged. So the scenario being, there's less than $2,000 damage. You exchange information. Can you leave? Yeah, you can. Now that less than $2,000 and nobody's transported to a hospital, and there's no criminality, and there's no city property, you know what you can do? Go to our website. In fact, go to trafficcop.ca, and there's links to our website, which just happens to be tps.ca, and you can find the instructions of what to do in the event that you're involved in a collision. There's also other great links, like how to check a driver's license status. If you want to loan your friend a car, make sure that they are actually licensed and valid, because if you loan them your car and they aren't licensed, well, guess what? You're responsible. You can be charged. There's also a link to a site, which is who hosts it? Anyway, I think it's, is it RCMP? It's a site that allows you to see if the vehicle you're looking to purchase is on the stolen list. Oddly enough, things like this happen. That's why sites are built to help you out. So lots of great information there. Trafficcop.ca. For those links, and if you're just talking about what to do in a collision, you can go to it from trafficcop.ca or tps.ca. We have Offaloozy. I don't know how to pronounce that. I have a provincial warrant. What should I do? You should probably turn yourself in. You should call your local police and explain to them that you're going to come in with legal counsel in tow and turn yourself in. Why? Because it makes sense. It's just the right thing to do. The better you turn yourself in with a lawyer present than having us find you at another time. Okay. Is reckless... here we go. Oh, we got Michael, who has sent me something. Oh, we got a couple of things here. Okay. We'll come back to Kayla Draconis and Michael, who have stuff that they've said, and we'll talk about it in just a second. But Just a Bike says, is it reckless driving if a car passes a cyclist? Is it reckless driving if a car passes a cyclist at high speed without maintaining a 1 meter distance? It could be. First of all, reckless driving isn't a charge that we lay in Canada. We have careless driving, dangerous driving, and a multitude of in-betweens. But there's a specific charge for failing to provide the 1 meter distance. But you say high speed, and then it depends on how high the speed is, and there's all sorts of factors. So it depends. But definitely they'd be eligible for charges. Which one will depend on the specifics. But absolutely, people who put vulnerable road users like cyclists at risk, we want to charge them. Now, as for animals, Kayla Dracona says you might want to avoid moose. You might be better off in the ditch instead. Fair point. We don't have many moose in Toronto, but I do or have met someone who drove through a moose, and they broke every bone in their body. They happened to be on a Harley Davidson when they did it. Maybe they would have fared better had they been in a vehicle, possibly a tank. But moose are big, and they hurt when you crash into them. They get hurt, and so do you. Can I make a left from a two-way street to a one-way street on a red light? The answer, DR, is no. You can make a left on a red light to another. You can make a left from a one-way onto another one-way on a red light after coming to a complete stop and waiting till it's safe to proceed and ensuring that there is no sign prohibiting that turn. But that is the only time you can make a left in Canada or Ontario, a left onto a left, a one-way to a one-way. Now, I have to talk about right turns because there seems to be so much confusion surrounding them. Right turn on red, it's permitted in Ontario, but it requires you to stop. So many people don't stop. I don't understand. You must stop at the intersection, at the appropriate place, very often indicated by a line painted on the ground. You have to stop, and you have to wait until you can ensure it is safe to make your turn, and only then can you proceed to make the right turn on red. It does not mean you can drive through the red at speed. That is called running a red. That is when red light cameras take your pictures. I was talking to the chaps from, two of the guys from the Toronto Automated Enforcement Group, and they said that one person got 4 tickets in like a matter of an hour, just driving around the block, not realizing they had to stop for a red light. How on earth is anyone here with a license that does not know that they cannot do that? Just mind-boggling. I want those people to not have licenses. I've said it. If you don't know you have to make a stop at a right stop before making a right turn, you're putting pedestrians at risk, cyclists at risk, motorists at risk. You should not be driving. Okay, Jamal's CLA. Can you have police lights on your car in a parking lot to record a video? Police lights are not a restricted device for the purposes of being on private property. So yeah, could a movie car be there? Could you, for the purposes of a movie car, have flashing lights? Sure you could. If you're doing it to harass people in a parking lot, not allowed. If you're on the road, that's a problem. That's going to be, charges for possibly impersonation of a police officer. So it really has to be something very clear. My suggestion, if you're recording a video, A, have permission to be there. B, notify local police that you plan on using similar looking lights for the purposes of that video, and be very forward about it, because people will call in and report you to police, maybe thinking you need help. So be very careful. Making a video, music or otherwise, great thing. Love filmmaking, love the project, love the creativity. Make sure you're doing it safely, and getting police involved and notifying them is huge, because when 911 calls and say there's one of your police officers who's fighting with someone in a parking lot, we're going to send the cavalry, because that's not good. And then when we get there and find out that you're filming a music video, someone's going to get in trouble. So avoid the hassle. Make sure you notify. And these are not toys. I mean, I get it. It's cool-ish. Police lights are fun. By the way, we're hiring. If you want to use police lights appropriately, go to our website, and you can do it for real. You can, not music video, but you can certainly have police lights when you are a member of the Toronto Police Service driving a police car. www.tps.ca/careers for everything you ever wanted to know about everything we do. And there's tons of valuable information on the website, but specifically to careers. If you want to be a police officer, special constable, parking enforcement officer, civilian person working in so many different jobs, because we have administrative, we have IT, we have financial. We have every kind of job under the sun. So if you want to work for us, a career with many different jobs, so you never get bored, check us out. Okay. We've already talked about this. I have a motorcycle license from Lebanon and moved to Ontario. Can I drive here? If you have moved here and you're more than 60 days, you have to apply for a local license. If you've applied for an Ontario license already, whatever license you have is what you have. So if they did not award you a motorcycle license, you cannot drive a motorcycle here. If you have a G1 license, you are a learner's permit holder, and you must follow the conditions of that learner's permit. That's it. So if you have not yet applied, apply. And once you apply, make sure you tell them about your previous experience. I don't know if Lebanon has a straight trade situation. They may not have understood that you had a motorcycle license if you did a straight trade and have a G license, which does happen with some countries. Make sure that you have told them everything. And I don't know the inner workings of the process, because I've never had to do it myself, but I do know that there is the ability to get a certain consideration for your experience. Let's see here. Okay, Akela Draconis adds to the question about filming on private property. If the filming is going to affect traffic, you need to have a film permit and submit a road occupancy request to the city. Fantastic information. Hey, it's Sergeant Campbell, someone who we referenced earlier. Let me get you all ready with and Sergeant Kulik too.
Sergeant Kulik is coming in as well.
We don't have a mic set up on that side. I don't think we might. Let's try it.
If I come this way.
Oh, and I'm gonna switch cameras. No, you can come over here. We're gonna switch to the. You're gonna stand up.
Sure. We can share a mic. Come on
Okay.
over.
So now we have. I don't know where they are. Oh, they're over there. Take the ones that don't say Panasonic, because then I can put you right into the back of here. Really? Okay, the one with the big plug. Is that the big plug? That's the little plug. Is there one with a big plug? If it's got a big plug, it'll work. If it doesn't have a big plug, we need an adapter. No, we don't have headphones for you.
All right, I'll forget it then. I'll come
You know, we don't.
We don't need headphones. We're just talking to ourselves.
Come on in.
All right. We now have 3 people on camera, but only 1 person can be seen on the Instagram account. If you want to see more than me, you should join us by going to trafficcop.ca, where there's links to all of our different socials. Come over to YouTube. Come over to TikTok. Come over to anywhere but where you are. Yes. Okay. So we were talking about movie cars. Now we're going to see what Chase has to say, because Chase is on the case.
So for stunt driving, there's the option that you can get up to 6 months in jail. Now, do you know a scenario where you would get stunt and possibly get jail? Because wouldn't you just get charged with dangerous operation if it's that serious?
So there's a number of charges that allow for the option of up to 6 months in jail, and it's up to the courts to determine whether or not you need to go to jail. They can ask you, they can give you a fine, they can give you a fine or jail, they can give you a fine and jail. That's entirely up to them. That applies to a number of things. I think distracted driving gives you the option for that. Am I mistaken with that? Why do I think that there's an option for that? Certainly they can do it for stunt driving, they can do it for insurance. And I'm going to double check, because first I want to say that it's inclusive.
I was going to bring up the insurance thing as well.
Yeah.
The maximum fine is $25,000, but that doesn't mean it's $25,000.
Oh, I should give you the microphone.
Oh.
There we go. Now they can actually hear you.
So talking about the insurance, the maximum fine for no insurance on first offense is $25,000. But I can say in all confidence that a court would not give you a $25,000 fine the first time up. The fine is going to be quite large, but it's escalating in the sanctions that are placed against you. That's what the court system is there for. And that's why it gives you a wide range of penalties.
So just looking at the handheld, for some reason I thought there was up to 6 months in jail. I don't know why that has popped into my head. I'm obviously crossing wires.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be any 6 months in jail.
No.
Maybe there should be. That's not a popular opinion, but
The distracted?
yeah, maybe we can.
But Chase, you're absolutely correct that the there we go. The stunt driving is a provincial offense, and dangerous driving is a criminal offense, and you're more likely to actually have time in custody because of conviction on a criminal offense.
Okay. Waleed wants to know, any tips for the TPS interview process once applying?
Practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice?
Yeah, if you, start thinking about questions that may be asked, like, for example, tell us about a time in your life where you helped somebody, or tell us about certain experiences you've had, things like that. You know that they're going to ask about previous jobs, and really it comes down to articulating everything that you're saying, right? Justifying and backing up everything that you've got in there. So I would say have a friend or family member ask you some questions. Just sit down with them, start to feel comfortable getting asked questions. They may not be the ones that you're going to face in the interview itself, but it's that comfort level of having somebody asking you and putting you on the hot seat.
Yeah, if you're comfortable and you have all these things in your head, and you may never have to talk about the things you think about, but it's good to walk through all these experiences you've had that may be good examples for times in your life when you're or conflict or racism or all these things. And at the end of the day, be honest. Honesty is the most important thing.
That's what I was about to say. Be honest in your answers that you're giving.
I keep stealing your ideas.
You know what? We want the right type of person, and sometimes, even though you may want the job, you may not be the right type of person. Better to find that out first than to get into this job and get yourself into trouble because you're not the right type of person that we're looking for. The honesty, the integrity, the fairness, the respect, all goes into what we are all about.
Yeah, the ultimate candidate is going to be someone who wants to serve their community, wants to deal with themselves, and honesty, integrity, all those key points of someone that you would want to entrust with protecting you.
And I would say go on to our Toronto Police website, look at what our core values are, look at what everything that's on that website there, see how your life fits into those qualities that we're looking for. Have you had community engagement? What have you done, whether that's volunteer work, all kinds of stuff. So fit yourself into each of those categories, and I think you'll do well.
Yes, and good luck. And we are currently hiring www.tps.ca/careers for all the information you ever wanted to know and more. Tony Song says, would the ownership need to be changed if the car is wrapped? And the answer is...
Depends.
Depends. If your vehicle is now a different color, whether it be multiple colors or one single color, then you have 6 days to update your ownership document to reflect the change. Yes. But if it's a wrapped with the same color, then you wouldn't, because wrap is not a function. It's color that is a function, or that is a change. And I'm going to move on to another question. Do bike riders really, do bicycle riders, I assume you're referring to bike to be bicycle riders, really get tickets for riding on the sidewalk? Is it mandatory for them to ride roads? Every jurisdiction is going to have different regulations and rules. In Toronto, there is a bylaw preventing the use of bicycles on the sidewalk if you are over the age of 13. So if you're 14 and above, am I saying that right? Is it 12?
I believe it's 12.
So if you're 13 or above, you can't be on the sidewalk? I've gone and confused myself.
I believe it's 12.
Okay, so if you're 13 or above, you can't use the sidewalk. If you're under 13, you can. And it used to be based on diameter of tire. That's no longer the case. It is age. So yeah, tickets are really issued to cyclists who choose to ride on the sidewalk and put other vulnerable road users at risk. Now, other jurisdictions may have different rules, and it may be legal where you are, so check with your local authorities.
And you know what? It's not just vulnerable road users, but sidewalk users as well.
Well, that's what I mean. That's
You're
the
talking
road.
about pedestrians.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you have a bicycle coming down, and it's a fast-moving object with a rider on top of it, the potential for getting injured, getting hurt, or the cyclist getting injured are greater as well.
For sure. And I've spoken to nurses who have said that bicycles hitting pedestrians have gruesome impact and injuries as a result. Actually, I was watching Instagram. We were flipping through it with the kids last night, and I came across a guy who was doing some tricks on his bicycle. I think he was in France, and then goes right into the street and hits another cyclist, and it was just an explosion of bicycle parts and people. Yuck. What is this? Oh, why do insurance companies ask you about your driving record if they can access the information themselves? Ryan
The
wants
lie test.
Well, it could be the lie test, but it also may be for estimating your quote before they actually confirm, because once they actually look it up, I think they have to pay for that privilege. I'm guessing.
That's correct. And different insurance companies will insure different risks. So if you've had some convictions, had some crashes, your driving record doesn't look, you might have to go to a different insurance provider, insurance company that your broker has access to be able to get you insurance.
Chase says it's not 12. No person 14 and older. I was right the first time. 14 and older? No person 14. Yeah, so it was right. 13, I was right the first time before I doubted myself. 13 years old, you can ride on the sidewalk. 14-year-old, you can't. According to Chase, who has, of course, verified all facts and information from the Toronto website.
He just likes pointing out when we're wrong.
Yeah,
You know what?
but it's awesome.
We are going to need one for the board over here.
Yes.
So we have a Sean and a Murray board. When one of us is wrong, we'll have to put Chase up there.
I think that's, yes, honorary member of the panel. Michael says, when I used to ride in sidewalk and crosswalk, I had more near miss and few minor collisions with drivers who were too blank to look. I had less trouble at 16 and 18 when I still cycled, but in traffic, no collisions. I'm glad you had a positive experience, Michael. But the truth is, motorists are looking for people on the road and fast-moving, traffic, whether it be someone who's jogging through an intersection versus walking through an intersection, it does increase their odds of collision. And actually, somebody who's been arguing with me about pedestrian safety actually brought that stat forward. They sent me a graphic, and it said you're, I believe, twice as likely to become involved in a collision if you cross a crosswalk while jogging versus walking, and 4 times, if I'm quoting it correctly, 4 times as likely to become involved in a collision if you are skateboarding or scootering through a crosswalk, which makes perfect sense as to why you're not legally allowed to ride a bicycle through a sidewalk. You have to walk through. You have to get off and walk. Boom, boom, boom. So that is that. What do we have here? Scrolling back for a second. Let me go to the next question. I'll come back searching for more goodies. What information, or what are ALPR systems allowed to give you information on? So an ALPR system really just gives you the license plate, and it's what our systems do with that license plate information afterwards.
So I know our current systems that we have right here scan for stolen vehicles. And that's the only parameter that they've set into the system to just notify on stolen vehicles. The new system that is funded by the provincial government is going to check an awful lot more things. The license plate, is it valid? Is it current? Because we don't have stickers to show that anymore. It's going to show that the registered owner, if there's anything that is going on with the registered owner of the vehicle, if they're not licensed, if they're suspended, if they're things like that. So it is going to go in a little bit more in depth, but it's all the same information we had in the first place. It's just doing it automatically.
Yeah, it's making it safer for us and more giving us an ability to run more plates at the same time with a higher chance of finding people, because we're always looking for people who are violators. This will just add some automation to it and hopefully catch people who are driving without insurance and without licenses and or who are wanted by police. These are good things. What do we have here? We got some questions in the queue. We're running close to the end. If you don't know who we are, I'll let everybody introduce themselves. But my name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and I'm here Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 to answer your traffic and police questions. And I'm often joined by these two.
Yeah, I'm Murray Campbell. I work with Sean. We work collaboratively together, and sometimes we cross-pollinate in our jobs to try and make sure, maybe not cross-pollinate, but we cross over into each other's
Yes.
fields to cover each other over.
And I'm Sergeant Melissa Kulik, and we are a great team here. We all do media stuff. Marie does some towing. I do some writing some operational plans for traffic campaigns, and amongst a million other things. So we're just a big happy team and
Yeah.
work together at times. So it's great.
We are the Swiss Army knife of traffic knowledge
Pretty
and
much.
stuff.
You know what? There's an awful lot of us, more of us up here, that do an awful lot within this office, but it's usually just the 3 or 4 of us, because we sometimes get Aaron
Yes.
to come on with us as well to sit down and share our day with you.
Yeah, this is actually one of those nice opportunities where we can sort of relax, test our knowledge, help us out, because we're the office people. There's many people outside on the roads who are enforcing laws and report and investigating collisions, and they get to help you in person. We get to reach out electronically and do it, and it's very cool. Troy wants to know, can you vape while driving? So yes and no. You can vape while driving, assuming there's nothing illegal about the contents of your vape juice, and if there are no children under the age of 16 present in your vehicle, because that would be covered under the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, saying that you cannot do that. Yeah, but also I've heard terrible things about vape. I don't know anything. I don't use them, but other than the fruity, smelly stuff that I occasionally walk through, I understand it's not very healthy. Just saying.
Well, neither is smoking, so
This is true. I don't know if it's truly better or not, but that's another discussion. We have a John Dias who says, you're supposed to have probable cause to pull someone over. I don't know where you are and what the rules are in the jurisdiction to which you are driving or quoting, but no, probable cause isn't something that's required for pulling someone over. We're allowed to pull you over to check your driver's license status, your insurance status, your level of intoxication, hopefully that your sobriety is that you are sober, and if there's an issue with your vehicle. But probable cause is something entirely different.
and I think that's an American term as well.
Yeah.
If you look at our ride programs up here, we don't have cause to pull you over. We just stop every car or every second car or every 5th car and to check for your sobriety. So we do the same thing for driver's license, for your car and everything as well.
Now, we have another one, another question altogether. Harpreet wants to know, in hit and run cases, the person who hits ran away. I'm really doing a poor job of reading this. In hit and run case, the person who hits ran away, how does insurance work? Well, generally, my understanding is that the person who ran away and they can't be identified, your insurance covers you. That's the joy of having insurance. There may or may not be a deductible depending on what information is recorded. If you have a dash camera and the other party took off, and maybe there's some information. But what would you say there, Sarge?
Well, you know what? I reported to police. There is an investigation that goes on. It's an offense to cause a collision and not report it. It's also an offense to cause a collision and not remain and render assistance. So an investigation will go on behind the scenes, and if we can identify the driver, charges will be laid. Even if we can't identify the driver, if we get the car, we'll at least get the insurance information.
Yes.
And pass that on to you, so you can pass that to your insurance company, so that you're not taking 100% of the brunt of the paying for your car to be
And we
repaired.
may get that information down the road. It may be hours, days, weeks down the road, depending on when these situations happen. We have our officers will check for video in local businesses or other dash cam of people that are around, and then it goes to our investigative office, and they do further follow-up from there. So hopefully we can solve these cases, and then the right person is held accountable for their actions, not only criminally or under the Highway Traffic Act, but also under the insurance. So.
I'm smiling because I'm totally ignoring you, but I'm reading comments. This one in particular, Sergeant Campbell is almost as handsome as Brandon.
Wow. Who was that from?
That's from Ryan Pinn, our Nova Scotian driving instructor, who's not wearing his glasses. I don't know. Apparently, and apparently I'm getting the push for promotion. Sergeant Kulik, Sergeant Campbell, and Sergeant Shapiro coming soon. No plan for that at the moment, but there was a recent oopsie-doo on City TV where they promoted me in the news. They called me Sergeant Shapiro. So
good for you.
Yeah, not only I got a name change and
a 5-second promotion.
That's right. It's done. Do you have to have an active license in order to have your vehicle plated on the road? That's an interesting question. I don't think we've had that.
No, you can register a vehicle as long as you're 12 years or older.
12 years old?
Yeah, you can.
I didn't know that.
You could have someone who passed away in your family that's handed it down, essentially, right? And
Yep.
you're not going to drive it at that point if you're too young, but
So
you can still own it.
to own a vehicle and have it insured, you are required to have a valid license, or the person operating has to have a valid license. But to own it and change it into your name, no, you can do that.
Very cool. Yeah, we had someone call into Dave's Corner Garage a couple weeks ago, and they had lost their license for medical reasons, I believe, and they had someone they hired to drive them. They own the vehicle, and they don't want to sell it. They like it, so they want to know information about storing it properly. Can you get a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt in the back seat?
Yep. If you're 16 years or older, then it is you get the ticket. And if you're under 16 years old, it is the driver's responsible to make sure that you're belted in properly, and they get the ticket.
Yes.
Please just wear your seatbelt. It's all of us have seen way too many tragic, sad situations out there. And, it's just not worth it. And especially if you have young kids, just take that extra few seconds to make sure their child seats are secured properly. It's just better for everybody.
Yeah, nothing will get you hurt faster than being ejected from a moving vehicle when it stops moving and you don't.
And if you don't think it can happen, there's a lot of videos out there you can check out on YouTube, and may change your mind.
Yeah, airbags don't do it on their own. You really have to be wearing that equipment, otherwise it does not help you. A couple questions, and we're going to be ending the day. We have, why do you not go after loud bikes like Harleys that are obnoxiously loud but pull over cars with exhaust systems? Oh.
Guess what?
Yeah.
You're absolutely wrong on that.
Yes, you are. And not only that, City of Toronto in particular has a bylaw specifically targeting motorcycles with loud exhaust systems, or lack thereof, when you have straight pipes and things like that. There are charges that the ticket for that's $500 for having a vehicle that idles, or a motorcycle that idles at 90 or above 92 decibels. I think I'm saying that correctly. And they have teams that go out in conjunction with the Toronto Police to go enforce those. We do stop anyone who's making unnecessary loud noise. But here is the caveat, and maybe why there's some confusion. A motorcycle that has a 2-foot pipe is going to be louder, even if it is, generally speaking, going to be louder than a vehicle that has a 10-foot pipe and has a large muffler system. And each vehicle has what's reasonable and some room to move within that. But when you have an obnoxiously loud vehicle, you're going to get pulled over.
And you know what? Each vehicle manufacturer, each motorcycle manufacturer does manufacture it, and it is certified the way it's manufactured for use in Ontario. If you go and modify it, that's where the problem comes. You have to, if you're going to modify it to be within the compliance level. So, not all Harleys, Harley owner, not a loud bike, that's fine.
Yeah, and in most Harleys, when you buy them from the factory, they comply, all of them do, but most bikes don't leave the dealership before they've been modified in some way to make them a little bit louder. People like to have that custom sound, and sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're sold with what do you call those? They're called, I can't remember what they're called.
I don't know.
They're
This
called,
is your story, not
yes. I was waiting for that. I can't remember what it's called. Baffles.
Hey, I got one
and
right.
removable baffles. And sometimes they're sold with the baffle to make it legal, and then someone takes 2 screws and removes the baffles, and suddenly it's this loud, obnoxious pipe. How far can my tires on my truck stick out from the fenders? Well, they're not supposed to stick out from the fenders, but my understanding is there's a 1/4 inch of leeway, and that's from a mechanic friend of mine. I don't I've not confirmed that number of 1/4 inch. But the ones that are sticking out, full tire width outside of the fender, absolutely illegal. And I've got some recent footage of OPP pulling over and charging vehicles that don't comply. It's not safe.
Not safe for people around the vehicle when the vehicle's moving, like pedestrians, or if you're making any turns. But also when it rains, your wheel has to be completely covered to stop the spray from sticking up the back. So if you see transport trucks, you will always see that they have big, huge mud flaps that cover the entire width of the rear wheels to stop that from happening.
Chase has got a great statement here.
There's a lot of like modified cars at the auto show that are super illegal. Like they have the steering wheels that come off, or like windshield tint that's crazy. Now, since license plates are ministry property, could the police technically, like even though it's private property, could they remove the license plate since it's illegal and it's ministry property?
So it's not about taking the plates off when it's in private property, because maybe they towed them there. Maybe the plates are not being used on the road. If they're on the road, they're in play, and that's when we would pull the plates.
Yeah, it's a fines committing offense.
So I remember many years ago, there was a Dark Nights show at the Markham Fairgrounds, and when the police showed up, no cars moved. They were all towed off the property by the owner to avoid having their plates seized. And yeah, none of those cars should ever be on the road, but people do a lot of things that are silly because they choose to do what they think is cool versus what is safe and legal. So here's a question. Does the Toronto Police have a plane? Saskatchewan recently got one, and people don't realize how much it helps. I don't know if we have a plane. If it is, it's a secret one because I've never seen it. I've never been invited into a plane, helicopter, hovercraft, but I've been on the boat.
We had a helicopter years ago.
Yep.
2 of them, I think. They switched. One was in the shop,
maybe.
one, yeah.
But I have actually been on a call where we've utilized it, and of course it's many years ago. But we caught the bad guy, and it's because the plane had infrared, or the helicopter had infrared, and we were able to track him down after he'd done a break and enter, and it was awesome. But unfortunately, Toronto hasn't had one, and if we need one, we have to borrow from York or Durham. Or
And
OPP.
they do have,
they charge us. So
yeah, but if we need, it's better
so
to
if we
borrow.
need it, it is there.
I imagine it's cheaper to pay for it when we need it. That rental fee. I wonder if you get a mug or anything. What are the bonuses? Okay.
Try that one right above there, Sean.
Which one?
That one.
This one?
Yep.
That's the one I was looking for, as a matter of fact. Does Canada have any restriction for diabetic or epileptic drivers? I'll give you your
So
microphone.
that one I know pretty well. So it is the responsibility of the driver if you are having a reaction to make yourself safe before you're operating your vehicle. Should say you're an epileptic driver and you are having a seizure, your doctor is responsible for reporting to the ministry whether you are safe to be operating a vehicle. If we find that you're having a seizure or a diabetic episode or a low blood sugar, we will write that report to the Ministry of Transportation for a driver's license review, and you may get your driver's license suspended medically until you can prove that you are in good enough control to operate safely. It happens quite a lot, so spend the time and make sure you are safe before you go.
Elliot says, "Get that lady a chair or a stool, gentlemen." Yes, we're
Thanks,
horrible.
Elliot.
Yeah, and then we got Chase who says, "Chevrons on the shoulder look badass." Yes, they do, but they come with a lot of responsibility. Let's see here. Why don't you enforce signals, window tint, maintain lane, or keep right? We do. Some things we focus on more than others. We are looking for people who are putting lives at risk, and tint and some things tend to get lower on the list because our focus is on that of the ones that lead to serious injury and death, of which tint can contribute. So it's still on my list, and I still write or would write those tickets if I was on the road. But that's just, we don't get everything unless we're seeing it, and the priority has always been Big Four. What is this? Someone got a ticket and it's not showing in the system 21 days. Contact the courts. I don't know what to tell you about why it's not there. You might get lucky. Maybe it'll disappear. If it hasn't been there in 21 days, that's probably good luck for you. And that is it.
That's it.
I got to go. I got to
We're
go to
done?
headquarters right now.
All right.
So with that, have a wonderful day. We're back tomorrow from 10 to 11 to do it all again. But I really do appreciate everything you do by coming and hanging out with us, and Chase and all the gang who are regular folks, Michael and Crystal and all the folks who are in our what is it called? That volley group? Yeah, that community, our community. Really do appreciate it. If you are not following us, please do on whatever platform you're on. Hey, follow us on all the other platforms. Follow us in different places, and it doesn't hurt. You can follow. It's free. Anyway, have a great day, everybody, and we will see you soon here. Oh, wait. I'm going to put this music on while I get the other music because
You forgot about it.
I did. Normally, I have it queued up and ready to go. Uh-oh. Did I just lose? I might have just closed and messed things up.
Maybe this is our music for today.
And we're out.
No, it was the Twitter. It was Twitter. Let's see if I screwed it up. Not Twitter. It was. Oh,
What?
No, it still works. I didn't break it. That's fantastic. Whew. I thought I just killed TikTok. Okay. Now, this is the music for the end because I'm done. Have a good one.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye.